And welcome to RTO Doctors 30 Days, 30 Tips. I'm not sure what episode we are tonight, and I know I say that every night and I should check, but I do apologise in advance. Tonight we're going to talk about, very briefly, I promise you it won't be a long one, we're going to talk and how it's time to get your house in order. Everybody knows that the more you work in vocational education and training, the more you have to demonstrate that you are current, compliant, competent, experienced in delivering whatever industry area you are delivering in and assessing in. There have been cases where it is more and more complicated. There are some cases where it's quite easy, and the burden is not as heavy to demonstrate how you are competent, current and compliant. But there are some places where when the RTO, for example, might be going through an AAT matter, for example, you actually have to drill down that little bit more to demonstrate just how competent, experienced and compliant you are. Now, one of the things that I wanted to touch on right off the bat is that it is never a provider's responsibility to update your trainer and assessor matrix. Never. If you are a professional trainer and assessor, it is your responsibility, it's your professional obligation to demonstrate how you are competent, current and compliant for the role that you are purporting to be qualified in. It's never up to a training manager or a compliance manager or an RTO owner to do that on your behalf. If you're the one sitting there saying, I am competent, I am current, here's my PD, here's my CV, then it's your responsibility to demonstrate how that happens, whether it be at the time of trying to obtain employment or whether it be at the time of audit. It is always, as a professional, your responsibility to do that. Sometimes it might also be necessary to demonstrate currency in certain membership and registration requirements. So, for example, if you are an enrolled nurse, for example, it might be required to demonstrate that you are registered with APRA, your registration is current, there are no complaints or anything against you, your registration is clear. Similarly, like you can get other qualifications that are like that as well. I know, for example, in WA, there are certain requirements that need to be met if you're a motor mechanic. And certainly I've been in audits previously where the auditor has demanded evidence that you are currently a member or registered with the relevant body for motor mechanics in WA. And even though you might be registered or you might be able to demonstrate currency in those requirements, please note that they are completely separate to the requirements that you have under ASQA in relation to vocational competencies being at least to the level that you're delivering, that you've got current industry skills, current knowledge and skills in vocational education and training, and that you also hold the current TAE. Now, given that we've been in COVID for almost 2 years now, there are a lot of trainers who have been out of work. There is absolutely no excuse now why you cannot demonstrate that you are current and competent in the current TAE, especially because we're about to get a new one. So if you haven't already got the 16, there's no reason why you shouldn't have already. That's just not, it's not possible to justify that anymore. Likewise with any vet PD that you needed to do or any industry currency that you needed to do, there's absolutely no excuse now for not being up to date with those particular issues. Therefore, it's, well, we would say anyway that there is not a really strong chance for people to use supervision in training and assessing anymore. We find that there are just no people interested in doing that because the paperwork involved is just too voluminous and too complex and too difficult, and it just opens up another avenue of subjectivity with ASCO auditors. So more and more people are shying away from having assessors under supervision, trainers under supervision rather, and so we're sort of saying there's no reason now why you couldn't have completed all of the training and assessment requirements to become competent in training and assessment at this point in time. In terms of currency, there are also other ways that you may be able to demonstrate currency. For example, if you have been working as a contractor in your line of business where you normally, so for example, if you're a carpenter, there's no reason why you can't demonstrate that you've been practicing your carpentry skills during the COVID pandemic. Just because you're not in the classroom anymore, there's a higher expectation, if you like, that you will be able to demonstrate current knowledge and skills, that you've been involved with industry. You may have even been involved in the consultation of training and assessment materials. You may have even been involved in the redevelopment or the continuous improvement of the RTO's training and assessment materials. There's a whole lot of areas where you would have had a significant ability to obtain increased knowledge and skills throughout COVID and update those on your trainer matrix. Once again, there's no, I'm actually going to finish up on this point. There is no longer an excuse for any updates that have not been completed, any trainer and assessor profiles that have not been completed, any trainer currency or competency, vocational education and learning. There's just no excuse anymore. We've been in COVID now for close to 18 months, if not more, and everybody has had an opportunity to do considerable professional development to get themselves up to scratch. And just reminding you that it is your obligation as a professional to develop that trainer and assessor matrix. And the provider might provide you with a template to use, but it is actually up to you to complete it and to provide that evidence. It's not up to the provider to say how you are meeting the requirements. It's up to you to demonstrate to them how you meet the requirements so that they can be confident moving forward in an audit situation that you are actually competent, current, and compliant with the standards for RTOs 2015. If you have any questions about today's topic, please don't hesitate to leave a question in the comments and I'll address them as soon as I can. Thank you for following, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye for now.